So we are going to go live here in 6, 5, 4, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting of February the 23rd, 2026. Prior to us starting or calling the meeting to order, I would like to read our Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of this committee and the community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. I will now call the meeting to order. And can we have approval of the agenda, please? Moved by Marcel, seconded by Ian. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Approval of the minutes of January the 26th, 26, moved by Ed, seconded by Ian. Any errors or omissions? All in favor of the minutes? Carried, thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Z2 26 592 Horace Street, Cole Foley. Can we have the report, please, Colleen?
Yes. So the applicant, Mr. Foley, who's here this evening, has submitted a site plan proposing the construction of a quadruplex, a 4-unit dwelling house at 592 Horace Street. Currently, there's a vacant single detached dwelling house that was constructed in 1935, and there's also an accessory structure that was constructed in 1915 that are still on the property. Mr. Foley would like to apply for a demolition permit to demolish these buildings and for a new development. So 592 is Horace Street is currently zoned R2, residential type 2, which permits up to 2 primary dwelling units. And a residential type 3 zoning is the lowest density zoning in the city to allow for a quadruplex, hence the requirement for a zoning bylaw amendment to an R3 zoning. The proposed R3-13 zoning is required to allow for a quadruplex as well as to grant site-specific relief from 2 standard R3 provisions, the first being the minimum lot area. The requirement is 743 square meters, and the existing site has 632.93 square meters. Also, relief is required from the front yard setback. The requirement is 6.1 meters, and the setback is proposed to be at 4.65 meters. The existing single detached dwelling on the property has a front yard setback presently of 2.5 meters. This means that the proposed minimum setback of 4.65 meters would in effect almost double the existing front yard setback on the property. So it would move the house away from the front property line. The remaining requested relief from the standard minimum lot area requirement can be viewed as minor and being in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw, with all other applicable zone provisions being met and or exceeded. This includes the meeting of the front yard, minimum lot frontage, minimum interior side yard setbacks, minimum lot depths, minimum landscaped open space, and minimum dwelling unit areas are all met or exceeded. So regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit. Mr. Foley's site plan shows 6, which is the required amount. The 6 parking spaces are shown as being accommodated on 2 separate driveways, one being a 20-foot wide driveway and the other being a 10-foot wide driveway for a total of 30 feet. The zoning bylaw permits up to 20 feet total driveway width, so site-specific relief is required to allow the proposed total driveway width of 30 feet, as well as to allow for a second driveway on a single frontage. These 2 site-specific reliefs are from the parking provisions can be viewed as relatively minor in nature and in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaws parking provisions, as they would allow for all required parking to be accommodated on the lot. The driveways would be accessed from Horace Street, which is a local road. So it's not as busy as a collector or arterial road. The proposed R3-13 zoning can be viewed as being compatible within the neighborhood and surrounding area of 592 Horace. Generally, the property is surrounded by R2 zoning. The proposed increase to an R3 zone and the proposed medium density use of a quadruplex can be seen as a gentle density transition in the neighborhood. Further, also an additional residential units could be added to each of these single family homes in this area to accommodate up to 3 units without, as of right, without any zoning requirements. So 592 Horace Street is designated residential in the official plan. The official plan states that the city of Pembroke will encourage all forms of residential intensification that can create a potential supply of new housing units. Residential intensification will be encouraged in the built-up areas of the city where there is sufficient existing or planned infrastructure to accommodate such development. So the proposed zoning is in keeping with this direction of the official plan, as it will allow for residential redevelopment and intensification in an already built-up area with sufficient planned infrastructure. It's also located within 1 block and 65 meters of Boundary Road and Eganville Road. Both are designated as collector roads in the official plan. As such, this location will provide a prime vehicular transportation links throughout and beyond the city via Boundary Road's connection to other collector roads and Highway 17, and Eganville Road's connections to other collector roads and to the city's sole arterial road, which is Pembroke Street West. The official plan also states all residential development shall be adequately serviced with municipal water and sewer services, waste disposal, and utilities. Similarly, the provincial planning statement also requires sewage and water facilities to accommodate new development. So the requirement of a building permit for the proposed quadruplex would trigger the approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. So the provincial planning statement states planning authorities shall provide for an appropriate range and mix of housing options and densities, which results in a net increase in residential units. As this application proposes residential development and intensification within a previously developed area that would introduce new housing options and result in an increase in residential units, it is in keeping with the current provincial planning statement. So therefore, the planning department recommends the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment for 592 Horace to an R3-13 zone, as the application is in keeping with the intents of the zoning bylaw, the official plan, and the provincial planning statement.
Thank you, Colleen. Were there any submissions received regarding this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, no informational inquiries were made. However, one submission of opposition was received prior to this meeting regarding the application from RNJ Lapine of 186 Horace Street. They believe that the higher density rental development would be too large for the neighborhood, that it would change its character and appearance and potentially reduce nearby property values. Thereby, they're asking that the current R2 zoning be maintained and the proposal reconsidered.
Thank you.
Correction, Mr. Chair, 586 Horace Street.
Yes. Would you like to comment, sir, regarding this application? Okay, good, thank you. Now, can we hear from committee members? Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I will address the opposition letter that we received. I take some issue with how it's being characterized that this development is going to be too large. First of all, with the exception of the front yard setback, it meets all other requirements, and this front yard setback is actually going to be better than the current front yard setback of the current, I'm going to call it a structure, the dilapidated structure. So in fact, what's being proposed here is better than what currently exists, and it meets all setbacks, which means somebody tomorrow could go build a monstrosity of a single unit house and the neighbor would have nothing to say about it. So I disagree when they suggest that it's too large, particularly since at the moment, we don't actually have we don't have building plans or anything at the moment. So I don't know how the neighbor could say that it's too large. If you look at the grading of the property, this property is lower on Horace Street than the neighbor. So Mr. Foley, is it a two-story that you're looking at?
It's just one story, so it's two in the bottom, like basement level, and then just two up top. So it would look like a single family home. We just have two separate entrances.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think with the slope of the road or whatnot, you know, this is not going to be a building towering over the neighbor by any means. It actually could be lower than the neighbor's house at the end of the day.
Yeah, correct.
With respect to this saying that it's going to they're concerned that it might decrease property values, I would suggest to them that the current structure on the property is probably decreasing local property values. It's a dilapidated, I'm hoping that it's empty at the moment.
Yes, it is abandoned. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, so I think a new build, and certainly we know the Foleys have been developing in Pembroke, and some of the stuff that I've seen of their posts or whatnot certainly looks aesthetically pleasing. So I think this could actually only benefit the neighbor's house. In terms of larger issues, it is an irregular lot. So apart from the minimum front yard setback, that's still not meeting our zoning requirements, but it will be better than it currently exists. The lot is the lot. This isn't a severance. We're not changing the size of the lot. So the fact that it doesn't meet minimum lot areas is you know, no doing of this committee or of the proposed builder. That's the size of the lot that exists there. At the moment, and I think this was said by our planner, at the moment, as of right, they could have 3 units. So really, they're just asking for an additional fourth, 1 extra unit compared to what could be done as of right at the moment. And I'm mindful of the fact that this committee, and I will say I voted against it, but I'm mindful of the fact that this committee recently approved a much smaller lot that met almost none of the side lot and whatnot. So, Mr. Chair, I certainly respect the neighbor. I respect that you know, change can be difficult, especially when you might not know what you're expecting. But I think overall this will benefit the neighborhood. It will certainly benefit the city to add additional housing units. So I will happily move that we support this particular agenda item.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Now, anybody like to question or comment? Further? Yes, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, looking at the photo that Ms. Royal has provided, 592, as Councillor Keel had mentioned, a committee member, that it's a dilapidated, that's a kind word to say. But the house, as Mr. Foley says, has a story to tell, obviously. You know, a number of families grew up there. But I mean, change is imminent. You have to look at change for the future, for the betterment of the community. That particular building has served its purposes. And I'm sure there may be some sentimental attachment by the families that grew up there. Some time ago on Catherine Street South, there was an application for a number of units to be built. And I was against that at that particular time. Because I felt, as the letter states here, there's a change in the flavor of the neighborhood. But having seen the building go up, I have to change my mind, because it's beautified the area. It's made the place look better. It's provided much needed housing for our area. You know, the Renfrew County Housing Authority has a wait list from 8 to 10 years of people looking for a place to live. And Mr. Foley obviously will be providing something that is crucial and much needed within our community. So from that standpoint, I believe that, you know, the individual who had placed an objection, if they took a drive and took a look at Catherine Street South, and I think it'll be very similar to what you're proposing, I think they would change their mind. And I can understand their feeling for, change. And I think it'll only elevate the value of their home for future. So and I will be voting in favor. Thank you.
Any further comments? I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, none, carried. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
guys.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just
Yes.
say that the public meeting of council is scheduled for Tuesday, March 3rd at 6 PM. So it'd be in your best interest to be there as well, because then you'll be in front of all of council. And then we'll have the planning report, and then you'll be able to provide any answers to questions, just like there was tonight. Okay.
Thank you very much. Past decision updates.
Okay, so our past decision is a rezoning from 0 Bennett Street. So that was the vacant piece of land that was zoned open space to an R4 holding zone. That was approved by council on February 17th, and the last day to appeal is March 10th. So we're still in the appeal period.
Thank you very much. Any further business? If not, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 31st, 2026.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we've changed it from Mondays, this particular
Oh,
one,
okay.
to Tuesday,
Okay.
March 31st, if that's okay. Because I won't be here and Owen can't be here at this. So we're wondering if we could just change it to one night, one day later.
I'm happy.
Okay.
Good. good,
Okay, thank
okay.
you.
That's good. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Ed, second by Ian. All in favor? Let's get out of here.
Wish the council meeting were this short.